Yeah, she'll see you.
But where can I see her?
You'll see her here.
Yeah, I need to look at her.
You can push the laptop under that.
When I converse to her,
Yeah,
I need to look at her.
Yeah, so
you're live.
Yeah.
You're live now.
Oh, yeah, am I live?
Live, 2 seconds. So we'll get Joey first.
Can we put that there so I can see Joe?
You can see Joe here.
Yeah.
And okay to record.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps, girlfriend. You have no idea. Like goosebumps. Hey,
Hold on.
already.
Can you hear us?
Can this go any louder? Can this go any louder? Let me have a look. Can I be here, Jackie?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, babe?
A little bit, not a lot. Can they turn the volume up your end?
Can we turn the audio up?
Yeah,
Hi,
you are a
Devin.
bit quiet, Jackie. Hello.
Well, we'll
Totally
speak
it.
up.
I
That'll be
can hear
fine.
now.
Hey, just so you know, guys, we're already live online, so don't say anything too silly.
Okay, well, we're live.
Well, this is why everybody loves you, Joe. And this is why it connects, because you keep it 100. This is what it's all about, baby.
Always.
It is, man. I'll just wait for, are we ready? Are we like with audio?
He's trying to sort it out.
Well,
Yeah, we're
while
trying
we
to.
sort this-
Is that better?
Your audio levels really. I'm going to be like
Low.
this.
It's really low, okay?
Yeah.
All right, we've got
I'm
the
on
team
top, right?
on.
I've got top. Yeah.
give me 2 seconds.
We'll just, we've got to give it a second, but I'll keep chatting. Do you want to know something, Rick? Can you hear me at least, Joe, whilst we're waiting for the audio guy? Can you hear anything?
Yeah, I can hear you vaguely. Go on.
Vaguely. I manifested you. Do you know I said to the team, really, I want to start with this, and I just, like, this is a conversation between you and I. I said to the team, I'm a manifestor in life, I'm going to have Joe Frost on this show, and I just started it up, put it out, and here we are. And I honestly believe, I really do believe that I'm a believer that whatever you put out comes back. Your thoughts create your experiences. And I don't get starstruck. I've met a lot of people, but I'm so starstruck with you.
Aww.
I am, and I'm so happy to have you here today. You have no idea.
I really appreciate that. I love your energy. You're like, I love it. Bubbly and joking.
I love your energy too.
All
I can
good
already
stuff.
feel the vibes, man. I feel like this is going to be great. How far are we off, my darling? Do you think we're nearly there with the audio? Yeah. So, yeah, I always say that energy attracts energy, and I feel like this is something bigger than not just today. I don't know what it is, but I always, lean into aligned action and what that means. But, that will come up when it comes up.
Well,
So,
what we are, I'm sure whatever comes up will, but what we're talking about today, as you know, is something very powerful, and it's a lot bigger than you and I.
yeah, it is very powerful, and it's very connectable. And I've been watching you for decades. Like when I first started watching your show, your program, and it's really interesting how I believe it came about for me was that one day my mum sat me down and she said, let's watch this amazing woman, Joe. So when I started watching you, I felt like you were my best friend as I was watching you on TV. And that's just the energy you give. You give this authenticity, you give this realness, you give this, and I feel like I want to cry. You lead by heart, man, and that is what inspires me. You do. Are we ready to go, guys?
Does that sound better?
Is that sound better?
Yeah, it does. I don't know, you just got excited and the volume went up, but you know what? It's good.
The only thing is Joe is reverbing.
Joe is
I don't know
reverbing.
if that's me.
That might be Ben.
Echo.
So was you just then?
Was I?
No,
I
not
love
you.
Me.
Yeah, you'll be muted anyway, Devin.
Yeah, I'm going to be muted. But just Joe sounded.
Should we go with it anyway, or is it bad?
Should we just go with it, guys?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
We're going to admit people.
Yeah, Ben will admit people.
Do it first, then we can-
Do you admit? And let's get cracking.
How good is technology?
Well,
I'm good.
there's-
I'm good if you're good. So don't panic. Like, get it right.
Thank you.
No, I think we're good. We'll just try and do a view. So it's just you and Jackie. Joe. Hi Joe. I'm Ben. I'm Jackie's.
Hi, Ben. Baby daddy there. Baby daddy there.
Baby daddy there.
All right.
Oh my God, welcome everybody. Can you all hear me? Put your hands up. Can you all see the gorgeous Joe Frost? Welcome to everybody watching live. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I was just having a little quick conversation with Joe that I absolutely adore this woman. I don't get starstruck. I've met a lot of people over the years, and I'm absolutely starstruck by the gorgeous Joe Frost. So welcome to everybody watching live. Today is a very important day for me because Joe has so much to offer. Do you want to say hello, Joe? I'm nervous. I don't get nervous. I'm actually nervous. This is hilarious. So today we'll be talking about creating a calm home and going from reactive to regulated with our very, very special guest, Joe Frost. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Daddy. Thank
We
you.
need to admit. Guys, I just want to give you the heads up. My voice has been a little bit funny today. Last night I couldn't talk, so I had to do a quick meditation. So hopefully my voice doesn't frazzle out. I feel like it won't, but sorry about that, guys. It is what it is, and I cannot change that. So I want to start with who Joe is, if nobody knows, which I don't believe that nobody knows who she is. Joe is a globally respected parenting and family expert with nearly 4 decades of professional experiences supporting children, parents and caregivers. Known to millions for her pioneering television work, Jo has spent her career helping families create stability, connection and confidence in the home through practical guidance, emotional insight and evidence-based immersive methods grounded in real life. Her work spans internationally, award-winning television formats, Super Nanny, Family Matters, and Nanny on Tour. Best-selling books, podcasts, live parental events, and digital educational, reaching families in more than 149 territories. Through these platforms, she offers practical, compassionate guidance and intuitive wisdom that helps parents navigate the realities of modern family life. Alongside her media work, Jo is a dedicated advocate for children's well-being, partnering with charities such as the UNF, and anaphylaxis campaigns that supports child safety, family resilience, and parental support systems. Jo's mission remains clear: to help families stabilize, strengthen, and restore their relationships so children and the adults raising them can truly shine. Welcome, Jo. We are so honoured to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Wow. That's a great opener. Thank you.
Well, it's all true. All of it. Everything you've done is true. I'm going to start with the first question because so many people have written in and DM'd, and it's really interesting. Me being now a mother of 2, there's always different stages and different ebbs and different flows. But in your experience working with so many families, what's the biggest difference you notice between homes where parents are stressed versus calm and centered?
Well, let's just start off with where families are right now. You know, families are overwhelmed. Families are exhausted. Families are not as confident. They are second-guessing their own leadership. And social media has played a very big part in that because there's so much conflicting advice. So a lot of information, but not a great big deal of wisdom, you know, and in homes, there's a lot of busyness, a lot of energy, a lot of chatter, a lot of noise. And I believe that that creates an energy our home environment, and relationships between parent and parent, parent and child, that's very messy. And that looks like a lack of communication. It looks like families not being grounded. It looks like no stabilization. So it's like being in a war zone, being on the scene of an accident and panicking because you don't know what to deal with first. You can see that we keep cutting out there, right, as we're talking.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you all mute your computer systems, guys? There, Ben, can you come in here? It's muting out. I feel like there's spirit coming through. This is why this is happening, and this never happens. It never happens.
Interested.
Can everybody mute your microphones, please? Because I can hear a dude talking, having a great conversation about getting a coffee as I'm talking to Joe. I love it.
Bring them in, Jackie. Bring
Yeah,
the spirits
bring 'em
in. We'll talk to them as well.
Okay, no, I think you're good now.
If you remember that thought, you're making me cry because I honestly believe that's how it feels today. Overwhelming. Even, for somebody that's very aware and consciously aware of trying to change the conditioning of the way I was raised, but also the social media and the screens and technology, because us as human beings are meant to be grounded, right? And there's a lot of disconnect.
There is a lot of disconnect, and we have to be very conscious of the disruption and the distraction that's coming into our home, because it will fragment what I believe is the strongest institution and system, and that's family. And we need, as a family raising children, to be strong. And that doesn't mean not to talk and be vulnerable about where we need help, but it is to have a resilience and a strength and an education and a courage to be able to lead our children with the guidance that they need, not maybe always want, but that they need in order to be able to keep the family unit, the institution of family, the system of family strong. And so when I go into homes, I see immediately disarray, the relationships, the systems that are not in place, the patterns that become very visible to me, the noise in the room, the external distraction that's now disrupting the family home. And my job within the first 2 minutes is to come in, identify, and stabilize. So I'm there to ground the family, center the family, and to be able to spend that first couple of minutes when I walk in to pull intuitively and evidently what needs to come right into the middle so that it can be identified, so that I can then move forward in being able to strengthen that family with not just the practical know-how and techniques and systems, but to be able to strengthen them from the inside out, because they already have what's necessary from within. But what they don't know is the direction. And so being able to, in a way, really be a family architect. You know, we're in a place right now where we recognize the importance of calm authority and recognize the importance of us being open and listening and having more emotional intelligence, but at the same time, you know, not being scared and frightened to say to our children, this can't happen and this is why. Because we're making that decision as your parent is incredibly important. And so really, the world is just catching up with me, because I gave everybody the blueprint 22 years ago. The balance of being able to give connection, right? Firm but fair and kind. but to hold down with boundaries and consistency, and to allow a child to feel emotionally held and supported and cradled at times, but you being stead as that parent. The world's just catching up now, saying, hold on a minute, we've gone for 10 years, 12 years of families thinking, oh, we should behave like this and overcorrect. And now we're seeing the results of that play out with families. In my career, I've never seen so many families unconfident. You know, it's a crisis. It is a crisis because we want the family unit to be strong. You know, we want them to be strong. And so, you know, families do have to learn to communicate better with each other and to be able to identify and to slow everything down. Because we're living in a world that's moving very, very fast. You know, the tech era, the AI era. And if we don't slow it down and we don't manage and feel in control of our own family, and I want to say that word very intentionally, control, because it's been weaponized with many professionals that have used the word control as in parents trying to control children. And that's not the message I'm giving. I'm not saying that as parents we control children. What I'm saying is that we empower ourselves to feel in control of our household and how it flows and how it has pace and rhythm and energy, and how we literally look at where the obstacles are and pay intentional attention to what is necessary to overcome those hurdles. And most people are living in the eye of a storm, panicking about getting caught up in that tornado and going up into the sky. And so we have to, with a lot of intention, ground ourselves, stay centered, because when we are, that's exactly what we reflect back to our children. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy to do. But if we can do it more times than not, then we're going to be making headway, because it's not about being a perfect parent. It's unattainable. It doesn't exist. Imperfection is perfection, right? We learn from that. But it is about being present. And it does require you to be present every day with the relationships that you have, whether that's with extended family members who are helping support the family, your partner, your teenagers, your toddlers, all at different stages of their development. I'll let you talk a bit there, Jackie. I'm talking away here.
I love it. Like, I could listen to you all day long. And so there's two things that really stood out for me personally, where you said guidance. All children need guidance. And the other thing that stood out to me was when you said it's not about me trying to say that you're in control of your children, because you are right. Because of the way you explain something, sometimes somebody that doesn't like the reasoning of somebody else's way will try to weaponize something that they don't understand, or they're not grasping the concept of what you're saying. So the first thing I want to say is that you don't need to, my belief is to have to explain yourself, because your work speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. I have seen you categorically in shows, and I am not going to cry, but I am, say families, marriages, relationships, and families. And when people come at and say things like, oh, you know, what you're doing over here is wrong. No, I don't see it wrong at all, because you have systematically been able to change the dynamics and energy and communication within a family unit that has saved families and kept them together. All because they didn't understand how to regulate their own nervous systems to be able to understand their children better, or however, there was an issue with their partner where the communication was out and the other person felt like they were, and I can feel the energy of a lot of people listening in, where sometimes one parent feels more loaded up than the other because the other one may be at work or the other one's more at home or having to do the dinners, trying to get the children to sleep, and it becomes overwhelming, like you say. It becomes
But I think
a
it's real
situation.
what you're saying. I think it's real what you're saying. If you're picking up on the audience energy with a lot of mothers predominantly feeling that they're carrying the load, it's because they are. It's because they are. I'm not discounting men who are at home as fathers and perhaps the role has reversed. I'm not discounting that at all. But we know statistically those numbers are higher where women are doing the invisible labour because they're remembering everything, not just the everyday things, but the anniversaries and the checkups and the birthday cards and the this and the that. There's a lot. And if you've ever watched me discuss that with families, which I do a lot, right? That process in itself to come to full fruition, where partners actually feel that they now have a system in place where they are both working as a team, takes at least 4 hours. Because it requires the time, the attention to detail, and the willingness to want to resolve that issue. Now, if you're telling me as a parent you don't have that time, then you're giving me an excuse for why you won't do the work to make that happen. Because those who are willing to spend the time, those who are willing to address an issue that time and time again is an obstacle in the way that it allows them to operate as a team and is now impacting the marriage, then you're looking at more reasons to avoid it than to actually resolve it, right? And every family that you have seen me guide and give them the expertise help have been families who, number one, were absolutely wanting the help.
Of course.
Number two, not necessarily always agreeing with it or resistant to it, but they gave their time. They gave their time because they knew it was going to take time. And Jackie, I don't cut corners. I don't cut corners. Families deserve more. They deserve the honest truth about where they are and the work that is required to get there. And you can either prioritize that and then move forward with a completely different outcome that's successful for your family, or you can sit and ruminate in this loop and find many excuses for why you have chosen not to do that. And that's the difference between the ones who are successful and the ones that are not. And I'm going to even go one step further with your audience that you believe you're right now getting that energy from. At what point, ladies, do you not sit down and say to your partner, I'm not happy with the way things are right now, and we really do need to talk. And I want to understand why this is so difficult for you two. I want to understand why I'm feeling minimized with actually the help that I need. And when women can give men a space to be vulnerable enough to be able to talk their truth, I believe there's a space and a grace there to be able to understand exactly the truth of what's in front of you both. And sometimes that truth is a real reality, because it could be another partner who's very overwhelmed as well, which happens with a lot of neurodivergent adults, right? Who are raising neurodivergent children, right? And sometimes not. Sometimes the truth is maybe emotional immaturity. Sometimes the truth is complete overwhelm too. But you've got to have the uncomfortable conversation. You have to have the courage to have that, because there are some things when you parent and raise children and your family, there are some things that can be very fluid. You know, you can go down the stream with them. They can be very fluid. And some things you've got to meet fire with fire. you know, and when you're reflecting back as a mirror to your partner, what is hard for them to look at that moment, you're at a juncture where you need to recognize, what are we willing to do about this? You know, and so that's the real work. That's the real work. And not everyone wants to do it because they're exhausted from life in general.
Yes.
But how important is it? Because those little ones and those teenagers are watching your example of how you model what a healthy relationship looks like and what it feels like. I'm going to say what it feels like to live in a healthy, functional family.
Oh, girl. Oof. That is, like I said, I could listen to you all day long for the rest of the, everything that you have said has resonated with me, and I know it's resonating with the audience. And I also know that a lot of the time, even in the space of work that I do, is that you are right. Sometimes it's hard to sit back for a minute and take actually accountability for what may not be working in your life when it comes to what we need to change for our children, because then you have to take a look at your behaviour, and then you have to take a look at how the relationship looks, not only with yourself but with your partner, or it could even be family members if you're single, if there's single ladies or men that are listening in.
Yes.
So it's and reaching out and asking for help. That leads me into this question that I think you've answered a lot of it, but I think I'll go a step further and just use my gut feeling here with this.
Yeah.
That if somebody's feeling really overwhelmed with their children, really overwhelmed, the children's not listening, you know, they put them in time out, they're doing everything that is asked of them, they've gone to see a psychologist, there's nothing like wrong per se with the child. I don't like using those words. They haven't been diagnosed with anything. It's just the child doesn't want to listen. However, they've followed the tools, they've followed the steps, and their parents are like, oh, fuck it. I am at a point now, man, where it's just, I can't deal. And you have to deal. But what I mean by I can't deal, where you feel overwhelmed yourself and you can't get the child to listen. Because I'm getting a lot of these questions. My child just won't listen, but I'm putting in the work. Or they'll say, I've read your book. Or some people even say I've ChatGPT'd up Joe Frost to give me some quick little, sentences on what I should do to help with bedtimes. Or
Jackie, I want to answer this, as always, honestly.
Yes.
I receive thousands, no lie, thousands a week of emails.
Of course you do.
I've tried everything. Nothing works. My kids won't listen. My kids want this. I've responded back to some of those and I say, can you tell me what you believe you are doing yourself that may be contributing to the circumstance or maybe advanced in it? They're not self-aware themselves. So when I get a parent that says to me, I've tried everything, nothing works, I say, tell me what you've tried. They say to me, my child wasn't listening and I put him in the timeout. And I'm like, so your resolve was they didn't listen, so you misuse the timeout to control a child rather than saying, hey, can we sit down and talk, Molly? Can we sit down and talk? Mummy wants to understand what's going on when I'm asking you to do something and you're choosing not to listen to me. When I've actually spoke to those parents, Jackie, for an example, my child won't listen to me. They're watching the television and I talk to them when I'm cooking dinner in the kitchen and I tell them to turn the television off and they don't turn the television off. And then I have to go in there and scream at them before they will get up and come to the dining table. So I said, okay, let me just echo back what you just told me. So you're cooking dinner. You didn't give them a little prop of when dinner was going to be in like 10 minutes, 5 minutes time. You didn't do the speaking clock by turning around and saying to them, hey guys, in 10 minutes, or hey guys, it's now 5 minutes, go and wash up your hands, we're going to be having dinner. and you didn't say that to them, you shouted through the wall. So now I know I've got a communication problem, because I've got a child locked in on cartoons right now that's not hearing anything. So I don't even have face-to-face, hard communication face-to-face. I've got parents communicating with children through walls. So it really is about the intricacies of understanding the grey area of what is breaking down the connection, the communication, and whether that is poor and I need to improve that, or whether I have a power struggle going on. So that information is incredibly nuanced and valuable to me, because it requires self-awareness. It requires honesty.
Yeah.
It really requires honesty. And a lot of families are in a space where it's not working for them, and they feel ashamed about that, or they feel like they're failing, rather than being truthful and saying, look, this is what's happening. Some of the times I do, most of the times I'm inconsistent. And inconsistency is truly one of the worst things that you can be as a parent, because it means that your children don't really have to take you seriously, because you have no integrity of your word. You say one thing on a Monday and doesn't matter on a Wednesday. And then you try and pick it up on a Friday, then you might let it loose on a Sunday. Yeah. So there's no integrity behind your word. And so you go to a place of threatening, hot air balloon, and then you polarize with extreme measures to manipulate your child into doing something, rather than understanding, where am I going wrong? What is it that I need to get better at? What are the skills that I need to build, so that I can actually guide my children and not try and coax them, or not try and manipulate them or bribe them into doing what I want them to be able to do. You know, and my books laid that out very clear. Yeah. You know, they're easy reads, Jackie, you know, for those years. And when you lay the foundation right in the first 6 years, it means from 6 to 10, you're not going to get what a lot of parents tell me they get from age 6, 7 to 11, because the foundation has already been laid. Yep. The child already has predictability, and that predictability creates safety. And that safety means that children can let their guard down. And I will go as much to say that those families that even have ADHD children, those rules apply as well. Because you are helping a child to let down their nervous system. When you can kindly be assertive and not passive or authoritarian, but authoritative, then your children can relax. They can let their guard down. Their nervous system can relax, because you're showing up the same way every day. When you say yes, you mean yes. When you say no, it's no. And I do believe in letting your children know why it's a no, because I think it's important for them to know this. I come from a generation where it was because I said so. But I actually feel that it's good for children to know. Here's why. Because I don't actually want you doing X, Y, and Z. I remember helping a family with a teenage daughter. Mm-hmm. And the teenage daughter wanted more autonomy. She wanted more responsibility. She wanted to go out. She wanted to do stuff. But this child was not emotionally mature. She certainly had a parent that was just doing everything for her. There were no chores, no responsibilities. And yet she wanted to be out past midnight at a party, no regard. And her mother skirted around the issue. And I said to this 15-year-old, Here's the reason why. I'm going to give it to you straight. You can't even make your bed. You can't even make your bed.
But you're spot on, because that's how I think. Yes.
You can't even make your bed. You want to argue to wash up. There is no sensibility in understanding how you can behave in order to gain trust. And yet you want to be out past midnight at a party with a bunch of strangers with no street smarts and think that your parents should just let you do that. I suggest you start with understanding how you build that trust. And mum, I suggest you start with understanding how you can give your child more responsibility so she can meet that expectation, right?
Yes.
And she didn't like what I had to say, but she came up to me 2 hours later and she said to me, "Thank you for giving it to me straight, Joe." Like, you're 15, I'm not letting you out. You're 15, you're not going out 1, 2 o'clock in the morning at a party where there's alcohol and drugs and everything. Like,
Yes.
no, that's not happening. So we talk about wanting to let our kids do X, Y, and Z, but can you look at yourself and say that my child is of an emotional age, not a biological age, but of an emotional age where they get it, where they understand it, where they're savvy enough, where you've had that conversation with them, where you are absolutely sure. Have you role-played scenarios? Have you had conversations where you can predict? Because let's face it, you were young too, and it doesn't really change.
Yeah.
Right? Can you do that? You know? So again, it requires more effort in a time where we are pulled with systems externally that do not support the family the way it should.
I totally agree with that. The thing that you said, I've got a girlfriend that has 2 children, and she was telling me one of her kids is 17 and the other is 15, and they live in Melbourne. And she was telling me how her children, or one child in particular, girl, wanted to go out, and she did exactly what you said. She role played the reasons as to why, and role played out the situations that could take place, and this girl just didn't want to listen. She was like, "No, Mum, this is, I'm old enough, I'm mature, la, 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 la." But when she actually explained, all it takes is for you to have one drink and walk past a bush or something, some nabs, role playing out those things. And then all of a sudden, she sat down and she said to her mum, "You're right, I wouldn't have thought about that. Things are different. Things have changed. And you are right. It's harder in this generation because the support system isn't, I don't want to say isn't the way it used to be, but it's like, I feel like life, it's all very, very quick. And then if you say no to a child over here, then they go to school and they'll say, "Well, my mum said that I can't have the iPad. However, this other child over here gets the iPad." And that's a good question to ask. How do you navigate that?
But Jackie, that existed when we were young. That existed when we were young. And it comes from this. When you're a family with strong family values, and by the way, I want to say this worldwide, I refuse any political party to hijack the word family values. Family values should belong to every family.
I love that.
Worldwide.
Girl.
When you have strong family values, and you model those, right? And then you have standards that you live by. You raise a stronger family because within that family, there is trust in the relationships. And as a family, whether you're raising your kids on your own or with a partner, right? You are with conviction. You know why it cannot happen today. And if you are more worried about being your child's friend, you are more worried about, "Oh, my child is going to feel like the only person and you allow that to prioritize what you fundamentally know as a value that's important to protect your children, then you are putting your needs first and your ego first above what's important for children. Because the thanks is not going to come now. The thanks is going to come when they're mature enough and old enough to understand why you did what you did. And we've all been there. Yeah. I don't care what so-and-so's mum says. This is how we're raised in our family because it's what's important to us. And you may not agree with it, but this is what we're going to do. And I would like parents to get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with your children not agreeing with everything you do. Because as a parent, it is your job to protect your children, to guide your children, to not allow outside clatter in.
Boom.
Because when you allow that in, because your relationships are not strong enough, oh, you've just left a white bridge for the sex predator who now is going to flatter your child because your child feels that he can't talk to his own parents. The young boy or girl out there, again, that's going to need a place to belong because family doesn't feel home. Like, this is what I'm talking about, Jackie.
Yeah, I get it. I'm with you 100%, Joe. My mentality is exactly like yours, even with my 4-year-old boys as we speak. And, you know, I've even got friends that will say, how come you don't let them have the iPads? Nope, iPads are only if we get on a plane and there is a couple of movies. The movies are like movies that were made up in the late 70s, early 80s. And really that's it. But Ben and I get a lot of stick for that. And why don't you let your children watch television so much? Because they need to be creative. Their brains are developed. That's how we are. We want them thinking.
We're already seeing that. We're already seeing a public health crisis with the toddler years, when the brain should be building and the architecture of the brain is building in those first 5 years, you know, all but 90% of the brain. We are already seeing the damage that is interrupting the wiring, the complex wiring, the architecture of the brain is being disturbed and interrupted severely from using iPads so young, from having screens and flicking doom scrolling on those screens so young. We're seeing the incompetence of language and speech and language, the cognitive skills, executive functioning skills, behavior. Jackie, the behavior is at a point like it's feral. These young children and 7-year-olds, the emails, I'm getting punched in my face, they're saying. I'm getting kicked in the stomach. I'm being slapped in the face.
Because they're addicted. They're addicted to the screens.
The withdrawal from that
yeah.
is creating this low serotonin, dopamine, and the kids are reacting wild because they have become dependent on self-soothing through the devices. And at that point, Jackie, here's the uncomfortable truth. Whether you're exhausted or not, you've now become the pusher because you're now providing that to your child as a means for them to be dependent. So what does it look like? So mothers are going to say, well, what does it look like, Joe? I tell you what it looks like. It looks like you coming home and acknowledging you're tired from work. It looks like just sitting on the sofa with a cup of tea and snuggling with your child. It looks like, hello, darling. How was your day? Mummy missed you. It looks like just a cuddle and a kiss and a connection. It looks like a moment. It's just a beat. Every mother will know the moment when you're just on the sofa and your child comes up to you and they cuddle you. You've got young kids.
Yeah.
The moment when they just come over to you, and in that moment, if you're self-aware enough, you think to yourself, "Oh, this is just a really sweet moment. Look at them." And you look at their faces. You look at their faces. You see how a little bit more mature they are. They don't have that baby face as much, right? And they say something. If it's not why all the time, they say something that you're like, it catches you by surprise, but you're like, that's a really interesting question, actually. I don't know the answer to that, but let's find out. They get curious. And then you move into a space of recognizing, right, we need to get dinner ready. What does that look like? And then maneuver into bath times and then into bedtime. There are touch points that are really important. Those touch points are first thing in the morning. And they are when the child comes home from school. And they are at family time. And they are before they go to bed. Those touch points are absolutely crucial because your children are probably, in this day and age, spending more time at school than they are with you, right? And so if they're in extra curriculum or they're at school, they're probably spending more time there than they are with you. And they're just like you. Kids need the emotional connection, the bond, the love. They want the hugs and the kisses and the silly monkey little kisses and the conversations and the nothings that you just talk about, right? And so it gives you a moment. Like if you're a parent that is working very hard every day, there's a moment when you put your kids to bed that if they don't want to go to bed and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, like seriously, I just wish they'd go to bed because I've got to do a few things when they go to bed before I go to bed. There's a moment where you sit up against that wall or you're lying on the bed with them and you think to yourself, I could fall asleep myself. Like you're laying there and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, I could fall asleep myself. And it's where you've had the letdown, you've stopped, you've paused. And what I'm saying to parents is that we need to do that period to assess what needs to change, not just in our relationship with our children, but in what creates the safety, the security, the trust, and the predictability that they need so that everyone's nervous system can just drop. And center and relax, period. And that's what I do when I go in and I help families. That's exactly what I do. I feel that energetically, I see it, and then I observe your home environment and I look at what's contributing to your head, your energy, your body feeling totally cluttered. I had a parent yesterday say to me, my child doesn't sleep very well. The routine was totally out of whack. But when I looked at the child's bedroom, Jackie, you couldn't move. You couldn't move. Jackie, you couldn't move. I mean, talk about energy block. You couldn't move.
I'm not laughing at the fact that, but I just got this image of you walking in like Mary Poppins and going, how's this boy going to sleep when there's all of the stuff everywhere? There's no flow. We need, the eyes need to feel calm. We need to feel centered.
Everything. We have this consumption of plastic, consumption of collecting things, which in itself is very telling. Because if you're hoarding or you're buying and buying and buying, then again, that's become your self-soothing.
Yes.
Right? And everybody has a different vice of how they regulate themselves. You know, even empaths have to be careful of the amount of sleep they get, what they eat, right? Because they're needing to regulate, absorbing the world around them.
100%.
Again, you know, I'm kind of feeling that you've probably got audiences where they will say that their children are very sensitive, right? And that they feel things. And maybe their families, maybe those parents are also taking everything personally, right? And so when you've got a child who's very sensitive, and when you're a parent who feels like everything's personal, you've got to get to a place where you recognize, how do we help each other here? If I'm showing parental leadership and my child is under my wing, then I have to be able to create some kind of order and organization to actually just allow this person to feel very at home and safe and clean of what's in front of them, right? And take it out. So sometimes you have to take things out of the relationship and the home environment to free it of so much mess and clutter. And other times, predominantly more, you have to put in. So families will say to me, my child was rude to me and I took their iPad away, I took this away, I took that away, I took this away, I took that away, I took this away. And I say to them, and did you put in time with your child? And did you sprinkle their week? Did you put in compliments? And did you put in encouragement? And did you put in honesty? And did you put in predictability? And did you put in these moments where they knew that the goalpost went? Did you put in? You want to keep taking away? You got to keep taking away. What did you put in? It's important.
I love it. I keep looking at Ben because some of the things that you're saying just resonates with us in so many ways. I want to get to questions. There's so many questions, but we'll get to a few. Do you want to read them out, Ben? Because it's going to be easier for you because I can't.
Yep, that's all right. So here we go. This question is from Amy. In a high conflict blended family, how do we create stability for the children without sacrificing our own mental health or burning out?
Boundaries. So you get on, did I hear that correct? A high conflict blended family?
Yes.
Well, it's time to sit down and to understand where everybody has grievances. You know, if your children are 8, 9, 10, I am sure they are making themselves heard. If you have disagreement with your partner, then what you want to be able to do is to actually just sit around a living room or a table and just say, look, there are a few things that keep rehashing themselves. They're regurgitating themselves. And actually, we want to understand, what is it that you're feeling right now? Children need to feel heard. It doesn't mean that you don't uphold a boundary that you think is important or have a rule in place. But children do need to feel that you've heard them and not minimize what they're feeling. I'm very sorry that I'm very sorry that you're feeling this way, because it sounds like you're very disappointed in the way that you behaved and what we've had to do now. But this is why we're actually doing this. And we want you to be able to understand that. Well, I don't understand it. Okay. Well, if you don't understand it, that's okay as well. But this is the decision that we're going to be making, love. I don't think that I believe that families feel that when you uphold boundaries or you have rules in place, it's like families receive that as if you have to say it harshly. And you can still use words of endearment. And some children have pet names, they have nicknames. You can still be kind in your communication when you are upholding your boundaries or you have certain rules in your home. So in this circumstance, if you have a high conflict family, address where the conflict is and you are looking to repair. A family that only wants to show her grievances and make no effort to repair is a family who is feeling unheard, first and foremost. So the communication comes from a place of we want to understand. We want to hear what's going on. And sometimes that high conflict can exist in families who have ADHD because those families use conflict as a means to motivate themselves when they need more dopamine, because that's what the brain is lacking more of.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't remember what I say when I give psychic medium readings, but some of the things that I, as a mindset coach, that I teach people is that I've seen that a lot in the energetics. It's so interesting that you said that, in the energetics of how people with different mindsets will think or create disharmony or situations to get that, like you said, the dopamine hit. I mean, that's on another layer, but it's really, really interesting, Joe. Like, oh God, girl, you're an expert in all these different fields, because look what you have to manage it all. Like, you've got to see the mindset, you've got to see the delivery, you've got to see the connection, you've got to see the flow, you've got to see what's going on over here, how the communication is going over there. Is somebody like, there's a lot that goes in.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you for acknowledging that, because it's not linear. You know, you are looking at all of those different intricate things, the complexity.
Yes.
But here's the thing. You're looking at the complexity of a family, but my job is to uncomplicate that and to make it as simplified as possible so that I can stabilize you first as a family. Then I can strengthen you, and then I can reset so that I can restore where your family once was.
That's the warm hug there. Oh, I love it. Can we get to we'll do another question.
I'll talk into the mic.
It's like you give a big warm hug all the time, Joe. I just adore you.
I'll talk into the mic so you can hear me, Joe. What is a healthy role of a step parent in discipline and decision making? And the same person has actually asked, I think we can roll these together. How should a step parent respond when a child withdraws, rejects, or mirrors negative views from the other household? Is that tricky? Do you want me to split them up?
Let me break it down into two parts. The healthy role of a step parent is one where their partner understands the importance of two of you raising your children, because it means that that partner implicitly trusts you in the decision making to raise your children together. It is a beautiful honor to be given if you have a partner that understands the value that you play in that partner's child from another person, right? So the role of a step parent, depending on age, is a very valuable one, because you could certainly be nurturing and in the phase of parenting. Maybe with a teenager, you are the confidant. But I find that a lot of the problems with step parents is where one parent has been hurt by a previous partner, and they protect the child to the level where they won't allow the step parent in to jointly make decisions about what their new family value and how they will raise their children together. And when you have a gap between both parents, then children are not getting a very firm, positive message. So again, it starts with your partner, right? And it requires vulnerability, because it requires maybe a step parent for the first time saying, look, I was hurt and I'm protective over my child because I'm a little bit apprehensive of where you stand in the conversation around consequences and discipline. And I need to talk to you about that more, because I feel like it's withholding me from giving full consent for us to be in this together, raising our children. Again, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but I've seen it time and time again. There are a lot of single mothers out there that are in second relationships where they have come out of emotionally abusive relationships. And they are now, rightly so, very protective of their child in the new relationship they're in. And it requires that parent to really assess, is that new partner supporting you with your family? Are they showing up supporting or trying to control? Are they adding value together, or are they trying to control? And if you put yourself back in the same pattern of relationship that you just got yourself out of maybe 5 years ago, did you do the work yourself? Did you learn your own patterns of how you ended up in that mirrored, maybe trauma bond relationship? And can you look at this one with a clean perspective and say, no, actually, it's me. I'm being too protective. And now my child is triangulating this relationship with the three of us. So it requires a healthy conversation with the parent first, your partner, right? Hey, you know, this child is 7 years old. They still need parent and guidance. I'd love to be a part of that. Can we talk about this? Because I feel you're kind of withholding. And another thing a lot of blended families get themselves into conversations with is, I'll discipline my kids, I'll raise my kids my way, and you raise your kids your way. But you're all living in the same house.
Yeah, that's
your
just,
roommates.
it doesn't, for me, energetically, that doesn't work. I think if you're dealing
Energetically,
with,
it doesn't work, Jackie.
of course it doesn't work. Like you can't, it's like a separate household in one. That's just, to me,
It doesn't work. So you know how you do that is to make sure that you're in alignment with the adult first. And to the second part of the question,
if the other person's tricky,
is, do you have a parallel relationship? Is it just you do your way, they do their way? Or are you co-parenting, where both adults are no longer together, but the welfare is about the child and what's important to them? That's co-parenting. If each parent are just doing their own thing and they don't care about the other parent, or there's no views, they don't really talk, then we have parallel parenting. And
so what I take from that, right, I'm just with the other part of the question, and I get this all the time, even with the work that I do, when somebody will say to me, what happens if the other, say the divorcee, say the wife over here or the husband over there, is complete, like the kids go back to the house for the week, it might be 1 week on, 1 week off, and then that parent, you know, speaks very negatively and, you know, against that other person. And then by the time they come back to the other house, however, the other parent doesn't want to engage with maybe the partner's been married to their ex for 10 years.
Can we just call that what it is, Jackie? Let's just call that what it is. It's called parental alienation. That's what it is. It's a form of child abuse.
Abuse.
Because you are really like an embryo breeding this negativity about the other parent. And let me just tell you something here. There's no gender war here. Like, men are ostracized too.
Of course, that's what I said. I see it a lot.
Now.
I've done a lot of amazing readings for men where they'll be like, and I'm like, they're really gorgeous, you know, doing the right thing, and that, you know, and I won't go into it, but I see a lot of that too, Joe. Of course, this isn't just about women. This is about men too.
Yeah, there's no gender war here.
No,
because you know men are suffering too.
Of course,
where women have behaved the same as well.
Mm.
Your role is to stay steady, calm, centered, and loving.
That's
because the child will see for themselves.
Bang! That's what I always say.
The child is going to see for themselves. However, I get parents like I'm sure you do, and those parents will say, "But it makes me look like the bad cop all the time because I'm the one who's doing it right." But then wear that hat because you're the one that's doing it right. So do it right. and don't complain about it, and know that it will come around.
Yeah,
it will.
always does.
Oh, it will. So does it make it more difficult? Absolutely, it does. And what's most important is that adult, where it's difficult, has support. That they have someone to talk to, a friend or an extended family member, or another mother or father from the school, or maybe somebody they met online, to have the adult support. What's not good is if you don't have that support and then you project and take your anger and frustration out on the child, because the child's then caught in the middle. Right?
Spot on, girl. Spot on.
All you can do, and it is enough, is to say, in our house, we respect and value the importance of sleep, because sleep is absolutely important for all of us. And that's why in this house we do it this way. So I understand what you're saying, but over there, you're allowed to do X, Y, and Z, and that's the rules that they allow you to do. But in this house, this is what we value and why. And when you remain steady, calm, not projecting your frustration, and you are the same, children will see that.
Oh, Joe, I think we've got time for one more question. I could listen to you all day long. Ben, do you want to read it out, my love?
Okay. So we're a little bit over, but we've just got one more, if that's all right, Joe.
I'm okay with time.
Okay, good.
I'm loving this chat.
So, hi Joe, we have a 4.5-year-old that still doesn't want to poo in the toilet. Oh my God, we can relate to this. She is toilet trained and a happy and confident child. She's only comfortable to do her poo in her nappy at night still. I don't want to pressure her, but wondering if there is another way I can help her.
The question I want to ask, I really want to ask other questions to identify the kind of power play, push and pull relationship. But when you have a parent that enables the child to now do number twos in a provided nappy, then you've already set the stage. Right, you've already set the stage. So the first thing that you are looking to do is to make sure that you can be consistent with whether you're potty training or not, with respect to that, right, as a developmental stage.
Yeah.
Right, so at 4 years old, your child is very able to do that. So, for example, there may be inconsistency. So the child goes to daycare and they don't wear a diaper, a nappy. Or do they? Or you go on a car journey and then you give them a nappy, but then when they're at home, you don't. But if there's inconsistency, then what you're showing the child is that there is caveats in where they can have the nappy on and not.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to go for it or you don't have to go for it, which means, that if you've provided this outlet for your child to kind of hold it in, and then go at this regular time. Because around 4, you can sort of see the sort of bowel movements. There is a regular kind of schedule at that sort of age, right? When children go. And if you've provided the nappy for your child to then go for a number 2 then you have set the stage for that. So you have to make up your mind and say, look, we're doing it. And we're going to do it for whatever it is. You know, you're going to take a travel potty with you in the back of the car. You are doing, underwear, your child's wearing underwear, period. Because this doesn't seem like there's a problem for the child actually going number 2, right? There's no problem with the child actually releasing a bowel movement. What it is that this mother hasn't made her mind up, and what she's done is facilitated the coziness of a nappy for the child then to go for a number 2. It's not like the child's too scared to kind of, push that out, right? Or to actually go. It's the comfortability of it. And I think children have to be a little bit uncomfortable, like when they, like when they go for a wee in their underwear, it feels wet, feels a little bit uncomfortable, right? And let's face it, nappies have been designed now where they look like underwear to keep in them longer. You don't really have to. So I do think it's important in being able to make your mind up first as a parent, and then it's all or nothing, and going for it, because this feels, and I keep saying feel because it is about reading the energy. I want to say that I feel with this person that it could be a little bit of a power control here, that it's the one thing that they can control. And so I would then say to the mother, are there areas during the day where you might be, Jackie, being a little bit more controlling, right? And you need to allow the child to have more choice, right, in the decisions that they make. So, for example, a very good example is this. Most parents won't be fully aware of that. They think that they're allowing their children some choices, right? But so, for example, you can say to your child, I want you to eat some fruit, okay? And I want you to eat that banana. And the child may see the fruit bowl and they want the satsuma. Well, why are you arguing over the banana? Like, fruit is fruit. Like, if they want the satsuma, let them eat the satsuma. If they want the apple, let them eat the apple. It's fruit. You don't care. So if you get into a situation where you're controlling too much and you're not giving your child just two choices, sometimes there is not choice and sometimes there is, and we don't care. And we shouldn't care. We can give them choice. But if you start to tighten up and control so much that a child doesn't feel that they have any freedom over what sandwich they can have, a cheese or a ham, or a banana or an apple, or take the ball or the bites apart, then you're cutting in. And then guess what? They'll use food as control, and they'll use bowel movements as control, because it's all relational. It's to do with behavior and the relationship between the two people.
Yeah,
the child
totally get it. And to lean into something about Ben and I are having a sticky situation at the moment. We've got twin boys that are 4. One goes to bed very easily. In fact, they used to both go to bed very easily from 4 months and sleep right up until 6:30 a.m. From 6 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. But a sleep therapist that came in because of the work that we do, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, we've got little Chippy Chipolata Bonham that's exactly a Gillies, Ben Gillies, that doesn't want to go to sleep. Pardon?
Was Bonham born first?
Yes.
Yeah. So Bonham got born first, and
Rocco's
is Rocco
second.
bigger than Bonham?
Yes, it's true.
Okay.
You picked up the psyche vibe, girl. You're in.
I did.
You're on.
I did.
Bonham, when we say it's time for sleep now, doesn't want to. He wants to argue. He wants to fight. But Ben and I are very good at being very calm, regulated. Okay, so tell Mummy why you don't want to sleep. Well, I just don't like to sleep. Oh, okay. So what's the reason you don't like to sleep? Well, I'd like you to sleep with me. Okay, so you want me... So I do all the get down. But however, you're the expert.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. What I think most parents need to know. Most sleep issues, right, are stemming from surface issues during the day, right? Your child gave you the truth. Doesn't want to sleep. Kids don't, because they think they're going to miss something, which is Bonham. He thinks he's going to miss out on something. And secondly, he's looking for connection, right? So the system you put in place is the routine that creates healthy sleep, what he needs.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure that you're both touching on those touch points, because you both work, so that he feels emotionally fed, right? And then when you're in a nighttime system that creates a routine where there is the predictability, that creates safety. And then when he's in the room, he will use the chatter as a stalling technique, because you're talking too much now. So it's okay, time to sleep now. Okay, good night, darling. Love you. You might say something repetitive, right? That he gets used to saying before you go. I don't know.
Yeah, we do.
Love you, darling. Don't let the bed bugs fight. You know, the angel for half your way sleep, right? Whatever that is. Then he might ask a question and you answer it. Then he asks another question. Well, that's negotiation. That's him stalling you so he can stay up later. So you have to be the regulator to move him through the transition of daytime to nighttime. And so you could answer 2 questions and go, one more question, and that's it. Lights out, darling, then mummy's going to leave. And I see you in the morning. So again, why don't you want to sleep? Because I'm not tired. Okay, you're not tired. Well, what's the second thing that you said to him, Jackie?
I'll say to him, okay, well, it's, let's have a little chat why you don't want to sleep, or well, let's have a story time, and I'll lay next to him, and then he'll say, I want to eat. After that,
but at that moment, you have to be strong enough to recognise that he's already had dinner. You know he's not hungry.
Yes, I'm very much about that.
Yeah,
I do.
So,
I think I'm probably a bit more boom like that than Ben. Ben's quite all right, a cracker, no crackers.
Okay. So
get to bed.
So because Ben's there, right? So because Ben's there, the truth of the matter is the real issue lies in you both being confident in saying, look, we know he's eating. We know he's eating. We know he's using a tactic to keep up longer and longer. But what's the root cause? What is he really needing? He's needing this. Okay, so how do we give that to him? And how many days can we give that to him consistently? Because we have to work here and here, and I might not be home, right? And so you both do that because you do have to be on the same page. Because if Ben keeps giving the cracker, then he's going to try and push his luck with you because he's already cracked one parent, and now he's going to wait to crack the other, right?
Joe, here's the thing. Ben and I are so hands-on. We don't have a nanny. We'll only bring one in if it's like a TV show or something that we've got to do, and we have support like my mum. I am on that bloody trampoline. As soon as I get back from 4 o'clock with him till 5:30, bouncing up and down. Sometimes it's 6 a.m. when he gets up in the morning. Let's go, bro. Let's go, Chippy. Bouncing. Like he's
no, it's good then. It's good because it's what's really good is that you can say hands down, I'm very present with my children. So that
very much so.
So that should give you enough to make you realise, do you know what? I've done 2 questions now. But it's time to sleep, love. Okay? I'll see you in the morning. Night, darling. Love you. Lights out.
Bang.
Done.
It's happening tonight.
You have to follow through.
Yes.
You have to follow through. You know?
Oh my God, Joe, this has been such an amazing. I could speak to you for years. First of all, thank you everybody
Jackie, has Ben got a question? I want to ask if Ben's got a question.
Ben, come here and show your gorgeous face.
Me.
Ben.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Ben. Give me a question that gives you. Let me reframe that. Ben, give me 5 seconds of vulnerability and ask me a question as a parent.
I struggle with guilt with my children that I'm not giving them enough time of me, but I'd give them so much. But I still struggle with feeling like I want to be there for them as much as I possibly can. But when I'm not, I still say if they go to daycare, if they go, I'm like, I need to be there. Am I doing enough? That is my biggest thing. Am I giving them enough? Like, are they learning enough? Am I giving them enough of me? Am I giving them enough opportunity? And they're only 4.5, so. But that's what I kind of struggle with day to day.
Do you think that has something to do with when you have children? It makes you more conscientious about how you were raised yourself?
Potentially, yes, 100%. There's maybe things that my parents did that I'm like, I feel like maybe I missed out on that. Like my father wasn't very cuddly, but like I'm all over my boys, like kissing them, hugging them every single day. So I know what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, Yes, maybe I'm trying to fill that void.
And you do it so perfectly. You are the
And
best
and so
at
you
that.
and so this is a real, it's very real what you're feeling, right? It's very valid because parents are feeling this, but both sexes are feeling this. It's very valid, right? What we are experiencing in the world today is families are trying to navigate the best that they can, healing their own little Ben, right? As they are presented as a man raising their own voice, right? And so it raises an awareness, consciousness, and a true, I think, healing in recognizing that for the first time, right, these little two beings that you absolutely adore and beyond, right, also bring up for yourself this consciousness, this self-awareness of how you were raised at that particular time, right?
100%.
So parents in this time and age have this real journey of just giving little Ben what he needs when those moments come up, right? And then recognizing that you can do that as Big Ben, right, as the man that you are, and keep that separate so that you don't project, and knowing that you're this father, this husband that is providing that for your boys, right? And so it can truly trigger, the word trigger, an emotional heightened experience. It can be very visceral. It can make you feel like, am I doing enough? Is this enough? Because consciously, unconsciously, it's bringing up what you felt you didn't have as well. And in those moments, as you are living this experience every day, you can actually reparent yourself in being able to say, I recognize this within myself. And these moments make me feel very vulnerable. And sometimes I can feel, I wish that I'd have had that. And I'm giving that to my boys. And I wish I could have had that. But you can live that sort of through them. So even though you're aware of what little Ben needs and you can give yourself a moment of awareness, you pause and you say to yourself, what do I need right now? Do I actually just need a hug for myself? Or do I need to put a big blankie around myself? Or do I just need a cup of tea? Or do I just need to go up to Jackie and say, you know what, Jack, I feel a bit emotional right now. I need a hug. Like, I feel this way right now. Yeah. Like, the moment of being able to identify that for yourself is really giving little Ben a hug and a kiss and letting him know, you're good. You're good. I've got you. You're good. And it allows you to be able to do that at the same time that you are this very loving, capable man and father and husband to your two young boys as well. And I think the fact that you've identified that and are now listening, and you've even brought to the surface that it just feels like a void, it's not something that you can feel because you're now a grown man, but you can identify it because we do carry our little selves around with us. And so we can give ourselves that sometimes through exploration and curiosity. When the boys are curious about something, we can like roll up our jeans and get curious and have fun with them as well. And we can let our hair down and be, that kind of playful kid ourselves as well. So, you'll get those moments to live those through your kids in how you will be with them as the father. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yeah, totally. It's funny you say it like, because I had a moment with my dad when I was probably, I think in my 30s, and he'd never said out loud to me, I love you. And I thought to myself, I must have been mid-30s, I was like, I'm just going to call him and just say it out loud to him and see what happens. I was so nervous, like I'd planned it, and I called him and I said, "Hey, Dad," and I love you, and he was like, "I love you too, mate," and I'm just like going like, "Holy shit, why did that take 35 years?" You know, so but I just think to myself with my own kids, like, yeah, it's like how easy it is just to just pour them with. I don't think you can love a child too much. You know, that there's no such thing as loving a child too much. Hugs and kisses and affection and just that's my take. There's no such thing. So I just think how lovely. I just hope as they grow that that's something that affects them, like how affectionate Jackie and I are toward them.
How could it not? How could it not? Look at the man you're saying you are. How could it not? And I think the moments, if I may be so forward in saying,
of course,
I think there are moments when Jackie's working hard and she's doing what she's doing and she's holding it all down and she gets frustrated because she's alpha and she's out there and she's doing what she's doing and she's on her mission and she's getting it done. And, you know, when you get stressed and you go into those spaces, you can go into quite a masculine energy. And it can make it really hard to reach you, Jackie. You know, and so
to Croatian form. Oh yeah, man, I'm Croatian.
Yes, there can be moments when there can be moments when Ben can feel it, but he can't reach you. And so in those moments, I think it's important not to forget to communicate what you need from him, so that he can feel that he can give that to you. You know, and it allows him to feel that he can reach you in those moments because, you know, it's that's hard. So, you know, sometimes you can pacify that with the kids. Like if he knows you're really stressed out and he knows that you're going to get really stressed out, he's like, "Oh, just give it to the kid because then the kid will be quiet and then Jackie won't get stressed because she's trying to hold things down and she's doing what she's doing, you know, and I'm showing up to support her the best way that I can, you know, as her husband." But it just is a lesson, I think, in humility for all of us in marriage.
Yeah, for sure.
Communicating.
It's true.
Just to keep talking and keep communicating because we can all be in that space, you know. If you're married or you're in a long-term relationship, you've all been there, you know. We've all been there. You know?
I think the one thing that we can all take from today is that, I know I can personally take this, is having children. It's one of the greatest gifts in life. But you're not always going to get it right. But it's being aware, like you said, being aware, showing up, being consistent, and, you know, taking like the bull by the horns in the sense of when it comes to your home and making sure you create that environment that is safe for you and your family and your relationships, where it all comes together and it does flow. And you are spot on with what you said about Ben and I'm just really good at, I think for me personally, my biggest thing is making sure that the way I was raised, that my children aren't raised that way. My parents are very old school European, but one thing I'd take away from everything that you said today is being consciously aware of what you're doing, how you're behaving, and the energy will always be met by that energy with your children too. I really do believe that. That's my personal belief with that. And Joe, I want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and your heart with us today. We're so grateful that you have come on here today and have this beautiful chat with me. And to everyone who joined us, thank you for being here, for being open and wanting to bring more calm and care to your approach, because it does ripple out into your whole home. I truly believe that, Joe.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It truly does. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You're a rock star.
I appreciate it.
You are
Thank
a rock
you.
star, Joe. Like I said, I never fan on anyone, and I've fanned on you, girl. I couldn't even get my words out. It's like sitting Joe.
Oh, I appreciate it. I love.
Thanks, guys. Joe, I'll see you soon.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's it. We just say bye, and that's it.
We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We will.
And I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You'll speak to me soon. You'll see me soon.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Bye, guys.